So this is the style that I want to make. I want to make this style. Yep. So this is what I want to make. Right. Okay. So I'm going to just keep it somewhere here. So first of all, cut the back. So the back doesn't need so if you look at the style very critically, if you look at the style very well, there is nothing like, we're not going to be attaching a zipper because when you zoom in, it's all closed, but you can choose to add a zipper to it. But for me, the fabric that I'm using for this style is a little bit stretchy. So this is what I want to use for it. A little bit, oh, it's not stretchy. Wow, so I have to use a zipper. So this is the side that stretches. This other side does not stretch. Yeah, so we can either use a zipper for it or not. So first of all, let's not concern ourselves with whether we want to use a zipper for now. So I'll just go ahead and do the pattern drafting for now, okay? So I'll start with the back. So I'll be using length 23. I'll be using length 23 for I think it's better than like this, yeah? Yes, let me check. This is just to mark where my camera angle is. So first of all, I'm going to just pick up like 2 inches. Sorry, 2 centimeters, not up to 2 inches. I'll do the same thing here as well. It's not compulsory, but I like to do that. So you might be asking, why are you making all these lines that you're not going to be using? Yes, as per not using it, that's entirely not true. I might use it, but like I said, it's not compulsory, but it just gives you a guideline, like, you know. Just helps you to know that there are extra spaces here, basically. So the shoulders I'm making use of is 16 inches. So from this point, I'm taking that 16 inches. 16 divided by 2, that's 8. So this is it. So I'm going to come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slant, right? 3.5 is what I'm going to use for the neck width. And the neck depth, let's take a look again. The neck depth, the back is the back is a little shallow, the front is a little deeper than the back. Yeah, so for the back, the neck depth I'm going to use 2 inches, right? So I'll connect 2-inch depth to 3.5-inch width. Right. So I'm going to link it from here to the shoulder slant or the shoulder slope. So from this shoulder slope, I'm going to take the armhole depth. I'm using 7 inches for the armhole depth. 7 inches from here down. And then I'm also still going to measure the shoulder width that I measured at the beginning of this line. I'm going to repeat the same thing here. Same 8 inches. And then I would connect it from here to this place. Okay. So my device is overheating, but it's okay. So the moment we do this, right, I'm going to take the half cut of this person. So this person usually she uses 17.5 as the half cut, 17.5 to 18 inches as the half cut. So I'm going to be using 17 inches, and I will tell you why I'm using 17 inches. Meanwhile, the overall length of what I'm using right now, I'm using 23.5 inches for the length. So I'm going to take that length, 23.5 inches. 23.5 inches. This top is not meant to be long, so just follow me carefully. Then the half cut that I'm using is, I'm using 17 inches for the half cut. 17 inches. Again, if you are just joining me, this is the style that we are trying to cut. I hope it's visible from there. Let me check. So this is the style that we're trying to cut. So trying to cut this style. Yes. Just in case you're just joining us. So usually the back really doesn't have so much role to play in styles like this because the back has no other kind of style. So on this half cut, I'm going to go inward into the half cut by 2 centimeters. And then I'm going to blend it this line and blend it downwards, right? So this is to help that if you're attaching a zipper, or you don't want to attach a zipper but you want to hold it at the back, you know, it gives your dress that curve. You know, there's no, the zip won't have like, it won't be wavy, the zip won't be wavy. You know, some people wear dresses and you see that the zip is just puffy a little bit, sometimes it's not even a little bit. So this thing that we're taking out of the body helps it to balance. It gives this back side a curve. You know how curvy a human back is. So this is that provision we're making for that curve for the human back, right? So I'll now blend it in using this curved part of this curve, you know, like the both part of the back. Yeah. So I'm going to be taking my bust from this line that we just blended it into this straight line. I'm going to be taking the bust is 40 divided by 4, 10 inches. This is 10 inches, right? Okay. So I'm not going to be adding any form of darts as it were, but I'm going to be adding that to this one that I'm making. You know, but ideally I can do without a dart, but I would like to add a dart here. So the waist is 36. 36 divided by 4, 9 inches, right? The bust is No, the hip is 42. This alone, so we are going to also make provisions for the hip on the top line, because the top is going to be a little bit extended into the hip area. So rather than measuring my hip on this hemline that I marked, I'm going to, usually what I do is from the half cut I would measure 10 inches downwards. So exactly where the 10 inches stop, I will now measure the hip width from that point. But since I don't have up to 10 inches here, I'm going to be extending it. I'm going to be marking the hip line away from this hemline. This hemline is the overall length of our top for the back. So rather than marking my hip measurement on the hemline, I'm going to measure it at the overall end of my pattern paper. So the hip I'm working with is 42, 40, 41, 42. This is 42 hip. So that's why if I measure this thing here, if I measure the hip here, when the dress is ready, it's going to be a little bigger for the hip. So if it has to be a little bigger, it is because I intentionally want to add extra inches, extra fabric, extra allowances to the hip area, but not because that person, was miscalculated, not because the hip was miscalculated. I would explain what I mean in a moment. So what this will now mean is, if I'm linking from the waistline down to this hip measurement, you can see that it won't exactly, I don't know how to say it, but from the distance between here and here would exactly give us what the measurement would be on that part of the body. Because when you're measuring, for me, I don't know about you, whenever I'm there, it's either it's the tummy, it's the waist, it's the underbust, but there are sometimes some people have some hip dips. Some parts of their hips are a little more, you can see it more, and the other part is it has a dip inside. So you cannot use the same measurement for the part that is a little bit conspicuous to where has the hip dip. It's going to be a little, I don't know how to put that word, but it's not going to be a perfect fit like you would want. So I'm going to use this part of my curved ruler. So don't worry if it seems like the difference between the waistline and the hip line is not so much. Don't worry, and I'll tell you why. Remember that we already went inward here by 2 inches, and here we didn't go inward by 2 inches. So it is only logical that since this 2 inches is here, it's going to be affecting the measurement here a little bit. I don't know if you get, so that it's almost looking like the waistline or the hip line is all, or rather the hemline is almost like the same measurement. It's not so. Then I'll extend it to the bust points. Yeah, so I can extend this armhole this way now. Right. Remember, we want to add our darts. There's no allowance yet, right? So before the allowance, I'm going to divide this measurement by 2, which is 3.5. But rather than use it for the 3.5, I'm going to make it 4.5. I'm going to add extra 1 to make it 4.5. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm going to take out of here for the dart intake. So that once I take out from 4.5, if I take out half, that's 1, I'll be left with 4 inches, which is like the standard, that's what's it called, that's span, yes, for an adult. So this is, so I'm taking out 4.5, because here has this curve inside. If I take the same 4.5 here and I come here, the 4.5, if I take another 4.5, it's not going to give me a straight line. So what I'm going to now do, I've already marked where the 4.5 is here, so I'm going to mark from here to, okay, so from the beginning of this line I have 5.5, so I'm going to do the same 5.5 here. But before I do the 5.5, which I already have done, I'm going to go up by 6 inches. Usually I like to take it into centimeters. So when I'm doing it in centimeters, it's 13 centimeters here. I'll do 13 centimeters here, which is approximately 5 1/4. Yes. So from this point, I'm also going to take out 5.5. So this is what I'm going to be having. And then I'll take the same thing underneath 5.5. so that I have a straight line from the beginning to the end of my that length, right? Thank you for liking my live. Thank you so much. So I'll take out half from these sides, you know, half here, half here. Then I'll blend it in. And the other half. Right. So just curve it a little bit more. So we already took out, this is 1 inch. I'm going to add it here. We've not added allowance yet. So for now, since we didn't touch this area, since we're not taking anything, because that is only effectively. So it's, if you blend it in straight this way, you are not wrong, and then you take it down, you are not wrong, right? So I can now add 1 inch sewing allowance if you want, 1 inch sewing allowance, 1 inch sewing allowance. Don't worry, it looks like it's a shapeless straight, looks like a shapeless and straight, but I assure you that when you take this out, it immediately leaves this one like going in like that normal curve at the waist. Then I will do the armhole curve. Yes. So I can cut. So yes, so we need to curve it a little. So I'm going to curve it by 3/4. Again, this back sometimes is really not necessary to cut the pattern from the back. This is the zip line. If you want to add the zipper, but if you don't want to add the zip, there's no point making this a zip line. Okay, so the pattern for the back is ready. So whenever you want to cut it on the fabric, we're just going to pull up the dart, or you mark the dart points on your fabric, so that if you don't want to cut it out later when you're sewing it on your fabric, and you can just leave marks and just stay there. So For the front, so if you want to work smartly, you can just carry this and just quickly trace out the parts. You know, if you don't want to work, sometimes you want to be lazy, you know, but let me do a little bit of work. If not, I'll just place the back here and just trace everything. But notwithstanding, I can still do the same, you know, but I would like to start from the beginning. So if you're just joining us, this is the style that we are trying to make. If you're just joining us, we're trying to cut this style, you know. So we just succeeded in cutting the back. This is the back, and so we are trying to cut the pattern for the front panel, right? So I'll first of all use my pencil so that I can be able to clean out any mistakes, and then later I'm going to use the marker. So let me check if I have my bust. Okay, the bust can be gotten here. The heel, okay, so I can use this side. So I would first of all take out 2 centimeters rather, to have a starting line. So I'm beginning from this line now. So I'll take my shoulder measurement, shoulder width. I'm using 16 for the shoulder width. 16 divided by 2 is 8 inches. Then I'll come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slant or shoulder slope. Then for our neck depth, let me use 4.5. I'm going to use 4.5 for the neck depth. For the back, I used 2, but for the width, I'm going to use 3.5 because it's going to be a moderate length of neck. So from this 3.5, I'm going to link it to the shoulder slant and then connect this one. Yes. So from the shoulder slope area, I'm going to come down by 7 inches. 7 inches, right? So from this point, I'm going to trace out to that 7-inch point and also mark my 8 again. 8, which is the shoulder width. So the front is a little bit not so straight like the back. So if you're still on this live, I would love you to just pay attention to how I cut my version of this style, right? So I would take the bust. The bust is 10 inches. 10 divided by 4. Sorry, the bust is 40 inches. 40 divided by 4 is 10 inches. Then for her underbust is 18. But I made it 17 for the back, and then I'm going to explain why I did that. Okay, remember that I took out, I measured the hemline, the overall length of the top to be 23.5 for the back. But for this front, I'm going to use 26. Stay with me. I'll tell you what I mean. So I'm using 18 inches for the half cut. So I'll just mark out that 18 inches for visible part so that I can have a straight line across. So I already have my bust measurement here. The waist measurement I'm using is 36. 30 divided by 4 is 9 inches. This is the 9 inches here. I'm going to mark the hip 42 inches. This is 42 inch here without allowance now and without bust measurements, right? So this is that. Then I'm going to connect instead of just marking it straight from here, right? I like to use this part of the curve. You know, I don't know why, but I feel like humans are not exactly straight under the armhole down to the waist. I feel like humans are just not exactly that straight. So for me, I just like to use this part. So close to the waistline, I'm going to look for the curved parts of the ruler and just blend it in this way. So this is how I like to, you know. Then I can extend the armhole line outward. Okay, so maybe let's go ahead and add 1 inch seam allowance, 1 inch seam allowance, 1 inch seam allowance, right? So we use 23.5 for the length of the back, and we are using 26 for the length of the front, right? I'll tell you why in a second. I'll look for the mid part of this armhole length, that's 3.5. Then go inwards by 1/2 inch. So I can blend it from here into this one down to this point, especially down to this main measurement, excluding the allowance. Usually, when the neck is this deep, I like to use my hand to blend in. Okay, this is the half cut. Okay, so for now, no that's allowance yet, right? Okay. so I'm just going to trace out what I have here so that it reflects on the other part of the pattern paper. There's something I've not done, and then I'll do it now. So, the reason why the front is longer than the back is because I'm going to take out I'm going to make use of shoulder darts, right? So to make use of the shoulder darts, I'm going to make use of her bust point. Her bust point is 11. So this is 11. Her bust span, I would use 4 for her bust span, right? So from here, I would make a line straight into the, so I'll measure here also so that I have the same straight line. This is 11. So I'll come down by 1.5. So this is the only bust I'm going to have. So but just keep it in mind for now. I'm going to make use of it later. So okay. So what I'll do is I'll right. So this is all we have right now. So I'm going to be extending everything I have in this here. You know, that's why we drew our, we made use of our tracing wheel so that we can have the same thing here. So I'll make use of the same thing. So, so this is the middle, which is not really necessary. Oh my god. Let me see. So let's fold it again and act like one fold. Let's act like one to make provision for the darts, right? So our dart will pass through this like the bust band, you know. So from 3, okay, say from 5 inches. I'll mark that 4 inches. I'm just going to be using the tracing wheel on one side of the pattern. Yeah. So this is where it gets interesting. I hope my phone has not gone off. So we're going to be making this ruffles now. Thank you so much, Amarachi. I really appreciate. Thank you for joining my live. Thank you, Amarachi. I appreciate. Thank you. So we'll be forming this ruffles now, right? So what we're going to first of all do, we are going to, after making it like a half, like a dot line, right? And this also, we're not going to make any other dot line here, like this, like a princess dot. We're going to now come down. This span is looking nice. So underneath here, from this part, I'm going to take out 1 inch. I don't want it to be so open, so I'll take out 1 inch, then I'll connect it to the half cut, like a V slant kind of, right? Okay, then I'm going to shorten this one. I'm going to shorten this leg because here has to be shorter than here. Here, underneath here, has to be shorter than here, right? So first of all, before I even do anything, I took out 3/4 from the back. So I'll do the same so that it is equal for both the back and the front, and for the two sides of the front. Slash it away. Okay, since I have like equal sides on the hemline now, right? I'll first of all take out here. One, two, three, four, five, 6 slash lines. Darts make darts here so that I can cover it, but so I wouldn't want to just give myself so much inconvenience, right? So I'm going to first of all use this to do one of my slash line is going to enter here so that I don't have a problem whenever I open this dart line again. So let me do it this way. Two, three, three, 4, 5. Yes. This is what I'm going to be using. So this is going to be plain. So this is what we have. So, and again, remember, I've already taken out 1.5 from my 26 inches. So I have less than 26 inches on this part. But this middle part, I'm still going to have my 26 inches. So before I do the slashes, I'm going to take out at least 2 inches from this side. So I'll make it shorter. Take out the same 2 inches. I'll make here 1.5. I want to reduce this 1.5 by 1. Well, no, I'll do it by, so what I reduce from here is 3 inches, and then here 1.5. Yes, that's okay. Then here I'm going to use this line, not so, not so sharp, I'm going to just curve it from this line, from this middle part, this way. So it's going to go like this, meaning I want to go again by 3 inches, the same 3 inches I went up by here, and then to go by the same 3 inches. I'll effect the same thing for the back so that I have an even, so that what I have is the same, for the back and the front, so that one is no longer than the other. Okay, you can check this a little now. Can also take this away. So I can safely tuck this in now. So we've closed our side darts conveniently. now I can slash open this part. Right, so I'll also do the same thing here. So before I do this, I have to slash here. That's what I'm supposed to go this way. Can you see what we're doing? Then pin this down. So I'm a little bit faster now because my phone is about to shut down. Okay, so this is what is going to leave us with. This is the side, this is the front, this is the back, this is the back. I hope this is, so I would have to pause this live for now and just power my phone on. NEPA just blessed us, so, and my phone is I think less than 10% right now, which may go off anytime and I don't want it to go off. So I'm going to be continuing this video when I power my phone. So thank you so much if you stayed with me for a minute, for 2 minutes, 10 minutes. Thank you so much, I really appreciate, and this means so much to me. But be rest assured, I'm not going to be cutting it on the fabric without you. So I'm going to carry you along and cut with you, do everything about the stuff with you. So stick with me. Thank you, and see you later in another life. Bye. The front and the back. The back is here. This is the back. This is the front. Thank you so much for staying with me. Amarachi in, thank you so much. Appreciate your presence, your time. See you later when I'm cutting on the fabric, and I can't wait to show you what it looks like later. Bye.